This is the Becoming Muslim podcast at untoislam.com, the show that helps people convert to Islam with hosts from the US, UK, and Australia.
Time went by, later in 2011, I started foreseeing Arabic symbols from the Quran itself. Of course, I didn't know what Islam was or what it meant to me. So I just brushed it off, and then the images got more clear and clear until I reached out to my friend who I went to school with, who's Iraqi.
Okay.
So his family been taking care of me for a while when I needed help with stuff. And then I drew a couple of these signs best I could. I'll be honest, they weren't very good drawings. They told me what it was. And I said, I don't know why this means, like, Allah, aka God, wants to help you. Like, my experience into it is I didn't know anything about it, but it was more of like a spiritual awakening. Yeah, these were signs. I didn't see them as signs. I saw them as nightmares because I thought I wasn't there to see my dad before he passed away, that I was being punished. But in reality, these were signs from God itself. So after the visions and the symbols, then later on, a voice kept coming to me every night until I wanted to accept it. At that point, I reached out to my friends and asked me what was going on. They told me I was being called. Then I should look into this. And that's what I did. A lot of times you don't have that support network. I had that support network. So I lucked out. But the drawback of doing it, my family rejected me for almost 8 years.
What is the biggest change that Islam brought into your life?
Purpose and happiness, I would say. I'll be honest, in the past I was drunk, angry, mad, didn't care, just did what I wanted to do. But now I have a balance between good and bad. I think that did it. If that guy did it and he was really strict to his religion, he didn't want to convert, but the guy speaking, don't follow your heart, and he started crying, and that was it for me. I said, that's the day I decided I wanted to do it.
Assalamu alaikum, dear listeners of the podcast. Today, for our new episode of Becoming Muslim, we are receiving Robby. I will start with a few words of introduction for Robby. So, Robby reverted in 2012 at a friend's wedding. He has been Muslim now for 9 years. He is 37. He is from the suburbs of Boston, lives in Boston, MA. Work as a lead fish clerk since 2003, Stop and Shop. He likes to hang with his cat and streaming video games. And he is also a part-time organizer at a local mosque. He's passionate about it, and he was like an organizer, I think maybe recently, for Thanksgiving lunch and monthly panel talks. Did I miss anything, Robby?
No, you did not.
Okay, awesome. So how do you feel today?
I'm pretty good.
Pretty good. Okay, that's awesome. That's very good to hear. I'd like to start by this first thing that you made, that was in the introduction. So you reverted in 2012 at a friend's wedding. I found this very interesting. So can you tell me the story about it?
Okay. So back in 2010, 11, with my family, most of my grandfather's house. So my 4 days before Thanksgiving, I had a vision of foreseeing my dad's passing. dying in his
Oh.
sleep. Then I assumed it was just him recovering because unfortunately he had a lot of issues with drinking and smoking.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think anything because usually he sweeps it off. That's usually what happens. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, he died in his sleep the day
Okay.
before Thanksgiving, and then I didn't see it as a sign.
Mm.
And then maybe 6 months later, my grandfather passed away, and I foresee him passing away at a retirement home a week before.
Mm-hmm.
And then time went by. Work later in 2011. I started foreseeing Arabic symbols from the Quran itself. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, I didn't know what Islam was or what it meant to me,
Mm-hmm.
so I just brushed it off, and then the images got more clear and clear until I reached out to my friend who I went to school with, who's Iraqi.
Okay.
So his family been taking care of me for a while when I needed help with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I drew a couple of these signs best I could. I'll be honest, they weren't very good drawings,
Mm-hmm.
but they told me what it was. And I said, I don't know why this means. Like, well, um, Allah, aka God, wants 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 to help you. So they took me to a mosque in Cambridge, which is technically outside Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And then I slowly they took me to prayer services every Friday. I watched from the back because that's what they want you to do. They don't want you to actually join it until you think you feel safe enough to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then his mother tutored me for about 6 to 8 months before I fully converted at their
Oh.
wedding. I
Oh.
converted at the wedding as a gift to their family. Because his older sister got married, and
Wow.
it was a gift to them, to me, to convert
Wow. That's
the
that's
Muslim
very
faith at their wedding. Technically,
that's
I did it twice. I did it before at the mosque the Friday before, and
Mhm.
then I did it again at their wedding as a wedding gift.
That's awesome. That's yeah, I cannot that's very interesting. Like that's beautiful, like a wedding gift. Obviously, and it's a great way to bring benediction and like blessings to this wedding. So good on you, man. That was a great idea.
Yeah,
So it took like approximately, you would say the process took about 2 years to get there.
yeah, yeah. It
Mm.
took 2 years to fully 2 years to fully understand it enough to learn enough the language to do the prayers. Obviously, I don't fully understand everything yet,
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
it's been a long period. So these days, I am learning the letters with my friend who's tutoring me,
Okay.
page by page.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's
But
great.
my experience into it is I didn't know anything about it,
Hmm.
but it was more like a spiritual awakening.
Okay.
'Cause
So,
most of my family was either Catholic
mhm.
or atheist.
Okay. Mm. So when you mentioned at the beginning, like, you unfortunately losing your dad and using your grandpa. So what were you saying that this kind of made you aware of like something is happening or there's a change coming, but you were not thinking about Islam at this point, or you didn't have any sign? Like, what did you mean exactly at this point? Like you say, like this happened and then this happened. So did it just like woke up something in you, and then after this you start seeing like Arabic sign?
Yeah, these were signs. I didn't see them as signs. I saw them as nightmares
Hmm.
because I thought I wasn't there to see my dad before he passed away, that I was being punished.
Okay.
But in reality, these were signs from God itself telling me that change was coming and then I should accept it. So I
Hmm.
eventually did accept it after enough signs came. So after the visions and then the symbols, then later on, and a voice kept coming to me every night until I wanted to accept it. So at that point, I reached out to my friends and asked me what was going on. They told me I was being called. Then I should look into this. And that's what I did.
Definitely, that's very true, and that's very beautiful as well. Like to be called personally, to get an invitation from Allah to join so this beautiful religion. So that's very great. So before becoming Muslim, did you have like any belief? Were you believing in God? Not at all. What was the status? Your status?
Me personally, I was a Catholic, but I wasn't into all the holidays. But I was spiritually connected to God, but I wasn't. I just didn't go to services. I had faith. I just didn't fully believe in my religion. And then for a while, since my dad was atheist at the time, before he passed, I was technically an atheist because generally in my family, you follow who your family's religion is. And that's what was the case. But I wasn't truly an atheist, but I wasn't a Catholic. I was stuck in the middle between the two sides. Didn't really know what to choose. So I just, did what I needed to do to figure out, and I eventually found out what I was missing.
Definitely the missing link. Yeah. So the day you reverted to Islam, like officially, when you made your Shahada, which is the testimony of faith, how did you feel?
I was very happy and like your whole body was clean because you felt like you had a whole new beginning. Anything you done in the past was erased, and then you start over. If you did something bad in the past, which I have a history of doing, nothing extreme, but you feel like you start over and start fresh, like a new beginning. That's what it was.
Yes, definitely. And so did you get like, the people to come and to hug you? Because that's usually what happened in the mosque when somebody do the testimony of faith. People come and hug you and, congratulate you. Did this happen for you as well?
Yes. Generally, the big group of people hug you and get your contact information, and it was a good first year or two, and then it changes. Unfortunately, it changes because they think you're all set, but in reality, you were just born again. You're not fully on your own.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people don't see that part. Unfortunately, they think you're good. You're a Muslim now, then you're all good. You have nothing to worry about. But a lot of times you don't have that support network. I had that support network, so I lucked out. But drawback of doing this is my family rejected me for almost 8 years.
8 years. Wow. 8 years. So
for example, my mom's family, which I don't really talk to anyways, they rejected me completely. In my own close family, my dad's side, most of them reject the idea of being a Muslim. So I couldn't even go to Thanksgiving, Christmas. If I did went, I'll be criticized because of what happened during 9/11.
Wow. That was that bad. That was that bad. So was it like the same thing so first of all, your parents, they're not together anymore? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
Did you say like
I was raised by my grandfather and my father. My mom was never in the picture anyways.
Okay.
But she really tried to make it up to me, but she could never get past the fact that I was Muslim, and it was dishonorable to her family.
Okay. Are there even religious people?
No.
Not even. Okay. So it's just the stigma of having like a Muslim in the family.
Yeah.
Okay. And was it the same context from your dad's side, that family side, same problem exactly?
My direct family, yes. But the few of them, let me come to their house for holidays, but the agreement was I wouldn't bring any of this stuff up. Don't wear anything that would make it obvious. Don't wear any beads. Don't wear any sort of hats or anything.
Mm.
Just wear normal clothes. Don't talk about the religion. Eat the. They made special meals for me because I didn't eat pork, so I was very grateful for that. But that
Okay.
was pretty much it. They would have like roast beef and stuff, and I don't eat roast beef. Or they would have like a pork roast for Christmas because that's what people usually did
Mm.
around Christmas. I chose not to eat that, so they made me chicken instead. I got criticized for that, but they they worked around that. Other than that, we just ate, and then I just would go home.
Mm. And so during these 9 years, like, is there like at least like a few person from your family, whether on your dad or mom's side, where you get like at least the opportunity to try to explain? Like, did somebody ask you a question? Like, did you, or everybody was closed? Don't talk to me about this. I don't want to hear anything. And that's it. Like, did you find at least a few supports during this time, or really no one in the family?
My brother was actually very supportive. He knew nothing about it, but he supported it. He he just didn't like. He didn't care if I talked about it because his friend was Muslim. I went to school with his friend, who's my
Mm.
friend, the
Mm.
same family who took me in and directed me how Islam works. So he understood enough of it, but he didn't really understand it, but he accepted it.
Okay. Okay. So obviously you mentioned that this was going on for 8 to 9 years. So what happened after this? How did you manage to find a solution to this situation? Or is it
Not
still the case not nowadays?
not that's not the case. They don't my after like in 2011 my grandfather died. The whole family separated. Basically,
Hmm.
went their separate ways. I'll
Okay.
explain. Like my grandfather was the tree that kept all the family together. Once he
Hmm.
passed away, they always went their all different ways. They didn't even talk to each other anymore.
Okay. No, I see what you mean. I have like a similar family, so yeah, I understand. Hopefully, like I hope that Allah is going to make it easy for you, and then at some point you can still, like maybe build back some connection with member of your family, because family is always important. But at the end of the day, Allah is the one who decides how things should be. The most important thing is that the faith is strong in your heart, and you can, still go on your way. So what I wanted to know is, okay, so you reverted to Islam, you made your testimony of faith, and then like you had to start like practicing. So what was it in practice, like learning about Islam? Like how did you go about it? What the first thing that you started to learn about? Did you have like confusion, fears? Like how did you go about this process?
Well, once a week, I would meet with my mentor, which was the same family who got me into the religion first thing. They
Hmm.
they told me how to pray, and once a week we know over the Arabic, the basic prayers, the simple stuff, the short ones. So I would have something to read, and then we would read a lot of that stuff. Then I would take online classes, and beginning was confusing because I have a reading disorder, so it was hard for me to remember stuff.
Hmm.
But we had to write it down, break all the words up so I could. She actually broke the letters up into symbols so I could read it slowly as a whole word instead of just saying it. So that's why I learned how to do most of my stuff by, memorizing it.
Okay, no,
In
that
the
makes sense.
beginning, in the beginning, I got confused, and a lot of times I skipped words because I didn't know how to say them, and then some words I just couldn't say, so I did the best I can, and then it was just good enough. It's one of
Mhm.
those deals.
Okay, makes sense. So, what's like if I were to ask you the question like and obviously you still like like walking this path, because we learn until like the end of our life, and there's always so many things to learn and to catch up on. So what were the hardest parts, and what was the easy parts like so far in your learning or your journey, I would say?
I would say accepting it and what happened in the past is probably the hardest. The easy
Mm,
part would probably knowing that I have a really decent support system.
mm,
I'll be honest. You need some kind of support system once you convert because you don't have nothing. Usually drains you dry and then you just go back to your old habits.
mm.
It's not healthy.
That's very true. That's very true. What what is the you think like, or what was the most enjoyable part of being a Muslim?
Um, Probably going to Friday prayer because you know you're around people who are probably similar
Hmm.
or are very friendly.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great way to meet people or to feel like you're in a Muslim environment. So I would definitely agree with this one. Um, like since then, like did you like what's happening is like in general, this is what I think is like when people become Muslim, as you already know, like Allah forgives everything that they have been doing before, their sins, so they become like kind of pure, just like the day they were born. And so in general, when I think it's just like shaitan, which is Satan, is not happy with this. You know what I mean? Because his whole point is to just like to try to get human being to go to hell. To get them lost. So when somebody find the lights, is really not happy with this. So it's going to do everything to try you to remove you from this. So do you remember like at some point experiencing, because at the first time, like I'm pretty sure like things kind of flow, it's easy, but then at some point, like did you find like any test, any something like difficult, like did you feel like kind of Satan trying to be like an impediment on your way?
Yeah, how I would say 5 years ago, my support system wasn't as great
Mm-hmm.
because at this point you're on your own, and then one in the beginning when they greet you, they give you information. A lot of times, a lot of them don't check on you, which they should, and see how you're doing, and see if you want to meet up or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, halfway through your journey, if it's 5 or 10 years, whatever years you've done it, in the middle you're gonna see a lot of alone time, and that can be a problem as well as a good thing. But if you're used to having people around you supporting you, you you feel like you need to go back to why did I do this? Maybe I should go back to what I was doing, and at least I'll have my family support. But
Mm-hmm.
you just got to work through it, and then hopefully you have that one person, your best friend, you can talk to, ensure you're doing a good job, and then everything will be taken care of. That's what it's like. It was like a mid depression crisis in the middle.
Mm. Of course, because it's like changing, like it changes a lot of things at the end of the day. And yeah, as you said, like if the context that you have is not the strongest, uh, that might be difficult at some point. So good on you for like still being there on the path. That's a great thing. So and I hope that things will get easier and easier for you, and that you can be like an inspiration for someone else, in your case, and you can be like this support. So that's all I could wish for. And I think that's what like this podcast is all about as well, to just like give hope to people, to let them know that they're never by themselves, even if they feel like that's the case. But Allah is always there to help them. What did you feel of, sorry, more like what is your interaction with Muslim since you've been Muslim? Like, how did you feel about that? Because you had your friend, but then like you started like, you know, like going frequently to the mosque, praying. I'm pretty sure you met like different Muslims. So how did you feel about that, this interaction you had with the community?
Like I said, it all depends what community you go to. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
Some were welcome than others. I'll be honest about that.
Okay.
Like the community I go to now, it's small, and I like small. I like small communities because you get to know anyone into like a trust where they're gonna have your back. If you go to a bigger community, you're not gonna know anyone. If they don't know you, they're probably not gonna talk to you. So you usually just do your business and leave. But fortunately, that's how it is. Like that's why I usually just go to a small mosque where I know the spiritual leader, imam, and then which is like basically the priest, and I know they have my back. And then I'll be honest, they helped me out in the past a lot when I was had issues with everything. They always took care of me. If I needed to talk to someone, they were there. I mean, that's all I needed. That's all you really need. You need is like I said before, a really small support system. But don't rely on a whole big community to help you because you're not guaranteed they're going to remember who you are after 10 years.
That's a good piece of advice because like I'm pretty sure like when you revert like you know for many people, you know, they feel like they have like a lot of people around them, but that's not always going to be the case. So yeah, it's a great reminder, I would say, about this. And so, but the good thing is like in your case, it kind of turned out good in a sense. So you mentioned that you become like a kind of a part organizer now at your local masjid. Is that correct?
I was, but since COVID kicked in last couple of years, it's been slowing down. But we used to host a Thanksgiving lunch every year. We didn't do last year since COVID, and then we used to do. I hosted panel events, which the mosque I went to, masjid, what you want to call it. They hosted the building for me. Why I told them what I want to do, and they pretty much helped plan the whole thing with me. So we had a speaker. We had everyday issues for the community to like that to family issues to divorces to like mixed marriages. You know, you name it, we probably covered at least once.
Oh, interesting. Okay, no, that makes great sense, and that's good on you to try to be active. You know, it's not for everyone, so it's very good when someone does it. Did you have like anybody like approach you at any point in your journey that was interested in Islam and you've been able to explain to them or give them something? Because you're in a good position to help someone that is searching for Islam. Did it happen to you yet?
Yes, every Friday I go to my local mosque, and then if there's a new Muslim coming in, I usually greet them myself and make sure I give them my phone number and tell them. A lot of people will confront you and will offer their contact information, but if you really run into any problems that you're not sure what to do, you can contact me because I've been there, I've done that, and then I can't fully support you, but I can get you advice in case you run into these problems.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. That's awesome. Reflecting on your journey so far, what mistakes do you think you made, like, you know, that you realized and that you've corrected along the way? Because of course it's difficult, you know, sometimes you're still by yourself, so we're all gonna make mistakes. So reflecting back on this, like, what do you see like were your shortcomings that you've been able to correct and then? And I'm talking about like in as a Muslim, you know, in terms of your growth and your experience and where you need to go.
Like A while back, I stopped seeing my former mentors, a lot of them, because I just felt I was ready to do on my own, and I didn't do it politely. I just said I just blocked them out of my life, and then that was a stigma I definitely should never done because it's not right,
Mm.
and I should have trust what they were saying since I known them for so many years. I regret doing that, and
Mm-hmm.
then I repented from that. Meaning I apologize to them if I hurt their feelings in the past, and I might not see them every week, but I stay in touch with them as friends. But that's probably my biggest one. I tend to, if I don't like what someone says, I just ignore them, and that's a big issue I have to deal with myself.
Mm. Yeah, that's okay. That's very interesting. Like it's if you have like a support, like yeah, out there, it's always good to stick to it. I guess like it's what Satan does as well. You know, if he cannot get us to fall, and I've experienced this myself. That's why I'm saying this. But if he can get us to fall on something, then he's gonna try to make us overconfident on something else, you know, and then we kind of lose our way this way or burn ourselves out. So it's really a difficult balance to maintain. So yeah, good on you, man. Like for reflecting on it, for understanding like what was wrong, and try to correct it. We all in the same boat at the end of the day. Um, if I were to ask you like what is the biggest change that Islam brought into your life, what would you say?
Uh, Purpose and happiness, I would say.
Hmm.
I'll be honest. In that past, I was grunt, angry, mad, didn't care, just did what I want to do. But now I have a balance between good and bad, and then obviously it goes up and down all the time. You can't control that. You
Of
just
course.
gotta find a, a balance between the two. That's what I'm doing.
Okay. Um, what's like is there like any Islamic resources that influenced you on your past? Could be books, could be like videos, like anything that you'd like to mention, anything that helped you on your way?
In the beginning, I watched a video where a Christian converted in, I don't remember the video name, but his name was Gabriel, like the
Oh yeah.
angel, and
Okay.
converted on some kind of video. And that I think that did it. I think if that guy did it and he was really strict to his religion, he didn't want to convert, but the the guy speaking told him follow your heart, and he started crying, and that was it for me. I said that's the day I decided I want to do it.
Hmm. All right. So in so far, what would be as a new Muslim, the best advice that anyone give you, and the worst advice as well, if you can remember anything?
Worst advice is don't take any advice from anyone else getting actual knowledge about it. Like if they tell you something, I will look it up to verify it's legit. Just because they say it's true doesn't mean it's always true.
That's
I
the
could leave a
best.
sentence online,
That's the best advice that you're
but
saying.
no, yeah, that's one of the best advice
Okay.
is basically you need to, if someone gives you a quote you a verse, check it and check it again, make sure it's the right, because some people misinterpret what it means.
Hmm.
It can mean something different for you, for someone else, and make sure you have sources on it. Like I learned over the years, you need sources on anything you read.
That's
And
very true.
bad
That's true.
advice, bad advice is, I would say, don't befriend just anyone you meet. Like, be careful who you trust, who after you convert. Unfortunately, not all of them are true to it. Some of them, I'm not gonna lie to you about this. A lot of people just want the reward for it, but they don't want to help you afterwards. That's the drawback. And once they don't contact you back, you feel like crap. And then you don't feel like, why did I do this? I have no one to talk to now. These people don't even know who I am after 5 years. They completely forgot about me. And then it's a horrible feeling to feel, knowing you did this because you're trying to save yourself, but you want to be part of something, and they don't want you to be part of it anymore. They don't even know who you are after 5-10 years, and they just forget about you. It's just a horrible feeling.
Yeah, I agree.
Trust is hard to gain, and you just gotta find the right people to trust. And you can't just trust anyone. You hand them the details, like their phone number. If they don't get back to you, then they just do it because they want the reward. But the reward part is also, they should be helping you too to earn that reward, not just take a free reward. You can't just take, you gotta give. It works both ways.
Definitely. And to explain to our listeners why we talk about reward, it's because like helping someone, especially as a Muslim, and guiding them, being a support for them, or even like being a way for them to become Muslim is an amazing reward. And I think like what you're trying to say is like maybe sometimes some of these brothers or sisters, they really focused on getting a reward for whatever they do, but they don't go like deeper than this, because sometimes like especially as a new revert person, you need more support. You need like to feel that somebody cares for you, and not just like I'm just doing this for the reward and that's it. Am I correct in understanding what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Well, at least we're on the same page on this. I would like to know as well, like in terms of Quran and Hadith. So Quran is the Quran, which the Quran is the same word pretty much. It's the book. It's the religious book of the Muslim, the Quran, and the Hadith are the saying of the prophets. So is there like specific verses that really resonates with you, and any hadith that help you on the way? Anything that you would like to share about these two great resources that we have in Islam?
Probably the first verse in the Quran, because you read it all the time when you start.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the first two verses in the Quran. Anything you read, you have to say those two verses, and those two verses like speak to you, and they spoke to me every time I hear it. So if I'm having a crappy day, I read those two verses, and then at least I know I feel hopeful. The day should be good.
Are you referring to the first surah, the Fatiha?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Very powerful. What about like, is there any hadith that you've heard that's any saying of the prophets that's really resonates with you in a special way?
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
I don't go really deep into that stuff, but I'm more in there for like a spiritual guidance more than a physical balance.
That's fine. All right. So if you were to give advice to new revert of people that's trying to revert to Islam, what would you say? What would be your best advice?
I would research, always learn, find someone who would teach you the basics first, like on prayer and understanding before you jump into it. Obviously, like the basic prayer, like a couple surahs, and then understanding what you're getting into, because once you start that, you're gonna see a big difference you're gonna notice who are your friends and who are not your friends. Because I'll be honest, I lost a lot of friends once I converted. My regular friends, they stopped calling me. So it's something you have to consider when you make that decision. I'm not saying you don't, you shouldn't. I'm just saying this stuff you need to look into before you jump into it. Read into it or ask about it. Go to your local mosque, ask to see someone to talk to you about this, and then they can help you make a more permanent decision.
That's a great advice. That's unfortunately things that can happen when somebody reverts to Islam. You will find new people, of course, but you might also lose some people. But at the end of the day, I think it's for the best, because if they're not here to support you, they're probably not the people that should be there in your life. But yeah, when you experience it, it's not easy. So it's a great point that you mentioned there. Okay, that's cool. That's great. All right, so we are now like reaching the end of the podcast, and I hope that this conversation has been very informative and meaningful for our listeners out there that are interested or wish to revert to Islam. That's all that we could wish for, honestly. Robby, any last words you would like to share with us about Islam or your journey so far?
Like I'll say, journey is good, but it's always you need to find the right beginning, and then do your best to keep a steady pace. If you don't be ashamed if you don't learn everything, and if you mess up on the prayers, a mistake happens, but that's part of the journey. If they want us all to know it all at once, we wouldn't be different, and we're all different. My point is, the journey is going to be slow and it's going to be long, but try to enjoy it and find some kind of peace. If some reason you convert for your reasons, I'm sure it's a good reason, and just keep a steady path and pace. Just make sure you have some kind of support system and someone you can call, or someone from the masjid you can call, or anyone you can email, anything. Just make sure you have some kind of support system. Without some kind of support system, it's going to crumble down.
Yeah, that's very true. That's the great advice that you mentioned also before. So I hope that it's gonna help anybody listening and interesting to follow this path. So in any case, if anyone out there listening to this podcast is interested to find more information about the podcast itself or about Islam, I would like to invite you to go on our website. So the website is untoislam.com. Don't hesitate to leave us a review and tell us what you like or even didn't like, because it's always good to get any feedback. It's always appreciated and welcome. So on this note, I will conclude the episode for today. Robby, it was a pleasure to have you with us, and I hope that we can have you again another time for a different topic. Are you okay for us to share your details on the notes section of this podcast in case anyone would like to get in touch with you or follow what you do?
Yes. Yeah, no problem. That's fine.
Okay. Awesome. So maybe on the group that we've created, like the small Facebook group, you can just share any details that you're comfortable to share. And so we'll put this in the notes, and if anybody wants to contact you, they can contact you using this. For all our listeners out there, and for you, Robby, may the peace of Allah be with you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We wish you a very blessed day, and may Allah guide us all. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.